Oh, look at these two. All right, come on. You're okay? Oh, what? Either they're having an affair or they're just very shy.
Forget the Epstein files. I want to see the text messages of that Astronomer CEO that got caught cheating at the Coldplay concert.
In a jaw-dropping new twist, the saga of disgraced tech CEO Andy Byron and his former HR chief Kristen Cabot has just exploded again. Kristin Cabot is now claiming that Andy Byron manipulated her into their affair, a bombshell allegation that recasts their scandalous relationship in a very different light. This revelation comes after weeks of headline-grabbing drama for Astronomer, the data analytics startup where Andy was CEO and Kristin was chief people officer. The tabloid frenzy surrounding their dalliance, first exposed on a Coldplay concert kiss cam, is now reaching fever pitch as Kristin breaks her silence to allege she was a victim of Andy's power plays, not an equal participant. Kristin Cabot, former HR chief of Astronomer, has come forward with shocking allegations that ex-CEO Andy Byron coerced her into a romantic relationship. The scandal, first ignited by a viral kiss cam video, has escalated into a public debate on power dynamics and abuse in the tech industry. According to leaked communications and insider reports, Kristin suggests that Andy abused his position of power to draw her into a secret relationship, subtly threatening her career if she didn't comply. It's a dramatic about-face from the initial narrative of a consensual office affair. Now observers are asking, was Kristin Cabot a willing participant, or was she another casualty of a toxic CEO? The answer could have huge ramifications, not just for Andy and Kristin, but for Silicon Valley's culture at large. As if the cheating scandal weren't enough, Andy's troubles only deepened in the aftermath. Within days of losing his CEO title, Andy Byron became entangled in what the internet dubbed Coldplay Gate, an even messier scandal involving an OnlyFans model and alleged financial misconduct. In a stunning turn, Andy's wife, Megan Kerrigan Byron, reportedly leaked private messages revealing that Andy had been spending large sums of money on explicit video calls with an online influencer, Sophie Rain. According to these leaked screenshots, Andy used a secret account to pay Sophie Rain up to $40,000 for private sessions, even joking about his marital status during their chats. One message from Andy casually noted that many guys he talks to are married, to which the model replied, "Okay, call me in 5 minutes." The implication that Andy Byron may have blown tens of thousands on an internet fling, possibly even on the company's dime, sent Astronomer's board and investors into another tailspin. Composite image circulating on social media, Andy Byron left, embracing Kristin Cabot at the Coldplay concert, and influencer Sophie Rain, right, who was dragged into the saga via leaked OnlyFans messages. The double whammy of scandals earned Andy the nickname "Only Fired Online." The public roasting of Andy Byron was swift and merciless. Hashtags like hashtag ColdplayGate, hashtag Astronomer Affair, and hashtag OnlyFired trended across Twitter, recently rebranded as X, TikTok, and Instagram. Memes depicted Andy as a horned devil of Silicon Valley, and joke posts claimed he cashed in his 401k for feet pics. Even Elon Musk weighed in with a tongue-in-cheek tweet referencing Astronomer's ordeal. In true Musk fashion, he posted, "At least it wasn't a Rocket Man affair rocket," prompting thousands of likes and eye rolls. Amid the frenzy, Andy Byron went to ground. Reports emerged that he suffered a breakdown behind closed doors. According to insiders, Andy was seen in tears and punching walls in an executive suite after the Coldplay video blew up, screaming that he had lost everything. Some unverified rumors on Reddit even claimed an ambulance was called to Andy's home one night for a suspected panic attack or stress-induced collapse. While those reports remain speculative, it's clear Andy was under immense pressure. "It's blown out of proportion," he insisted to a close friend when news of the $40,000 OnlyFans fiasco hit, though few sympathized. blogs.umb.edu. In fact, Andy's apparent misdeeds were only fueling further investigations. There were whispers of audits into Astronomer's finances to see if company funds were misappropriated, and talk of the SEC sniffing around if any investor-related fraud was involved. Andy Byron's carefully crafted image as a star tech CEO was in tatters, his LinkedIn page hastily deleted. And his personal life in shambles. Megan Byron, reportedly furious and humiliated, fled to a family estate in Maine to regroup. For a while, Kristin Cabot remained silent as Andy's world burned. She had lawyered up and kept a low profile after leaving Astronomer, even as media and internet sleuths debated her role. Was she a co-conspirator in a tawdry affair, or a pawn caught in Andy's web? Now at last, Kristin is offering her side of the story, and it's a doozy. In a leaked email exchange and an exclusive interview snippet published by a tech gossip blog, Kristin Cabot claims that Andy Byron manipulated her from the start of their entanglement. The former HR chief describes feeling pressured and cornered by Andy's advances. According to these reports, Andy initially confided in Kristin about his marital troubles and won her sympathy, only to then blur professional boundaries. "He was my boss. How do you say no to the CEO?" Kristin purportedly wrote to a friend last month. Andy would hint that my career and the company's success were tied to keeping him happy. I was afraid to refuse him outright. In the interview excerpt, Kristin suggests Andy exploited the power imbalance between them, framing his desire for a relationship in a way that made Kristin feel obligated. She claims Andy implied that if she didn't reciprocate, her job might be at stake, or that she'd be betraying the company's leader during a stressful time. This is a dramatic shift in narrative. Initially, when the kiss cam video surfaced, the public assumed Kristin was a willing participant in an affair, and she received a hefty dose of backlash for it. In fact, Kristin faced intense victim blaming online. As an HR executive, some said she should have known better and accused her of hypocrisy for breaking HR rules. But Kristin's new allegations cast the relationship in a more sinister light. She paints herself as a victim of workplace coercion. If true, Andy Byron wasn't just a cheating husband. He was an abuser of power, potentially grooming a subordinate. The distinction is huge. Legal experts had previously noted that unless evidence showed Kristin was pressured into the affair due to a power imbalance, it would be hard for her to claim sexual harassment or coercion in court. One attorney bluntly said, "If it was consensual, a sexual harassment suit would be a stretch. A jury might laugh it out of court. Unless she was pressured into the relationship because of a power imbalance, there's not much of a case." That comment now sounds almost prophetic. Kristin appears to be providing exactly that missing piece, asserting that the relationship was not fully consensual, but the product of implicit threats and manipulation. It's a revelation that could bolster her ongoing legal case against Astronomer, and possibly Andy Byron personally. Kristin Cabot's claims have ignited a firestorm across media and social platforms. In the hours after the story broke, Astronomer's scandal returned to the front page of news sites and the top of trending feeds. Major outlets that had been covering Andy's downfall pounced on this development. "Cabot strikes back. Andy Byron groomed me," blared one sensational headline on a celebrity news site. Tech industry blogs, which initially treated the affair as a juicy curiosity, shifted tone to examine the serious implications of Kristin's account, dragging issues of workplace abuse into the spotlight. On Twitter, X, opinion was fiercely divided. Many users expressed support for Kristin, tweeting messages like, "Never underestimate how a powerful boss can pressure an employee." #StandWithKristin. A popular Reddit thread in r/tech scandals dissected every line of the leaked email, with self-claimed Astronomer insiders chiming in. One anonymous Redditor, alleging to be a former Astronomer staffer, wrote, "Those of us who worked under Andy aren't shocked. His whole vibe was my way or the highway. I 100% believe he could twist someone's arm like that." This comment garnered thousands of upvotes, resonating with readers who had seen too many tech CEOs behave badly. Others on the thread, however, were more skeptical. "Convenient that she's saying this now," one user replied. "She was all smiles with him on that Jumbotron until they got caught. Hard to believe she was forced." This back and forth encapsulates the internet split. Some see Kristin as a brave survivor speaking up, while others suspect an opportunistic ploy to rewrite the narrative. Traditional media has also weighed in. A New York Post columnist, never one to shy from scandal, published a fiery opinion piece essentially asking, "Kristin Cabot, victim or villain?" Cable news panels picked up the story as well, with pundits debating live on air. On one morning show, the host clashed. As HR chief, she had a duty to uphold ethics. If she felt coerced, why didn't she report it or quit? One commentator argued. Another countered, "Have we learned nothing from #MeToo? Power dynamics can trap even high-ranking women. She might have felt reporting him was impossible if the board was his buddy. Indeed, Astronomer's board now faces scrutiny for its handling of the situation. Did they know or suspect an imbalance? And if so, why was nothing done earlier? Even Reddit's infamous gossip subreddit /Doomois picked up some unverified tidbits. One post claimed that Kristin had confided in a friend months ago about Andy making passes at her during work trips, hinting this wasn't as sudden as it seemed. Another rumor buzzing around is that Andy Byron might have preemptively tried to spin the story. Some Twitter sleuths noticed that shortly before Kristin's allegation went public, an anonymous tipster on a blind item site suggested a jilted exec hooking up with CEO to climb ranks. Kristin's camp has flatly denied she had any consensual motive for personal gain, and her lawyers are reportedly tracing the source of that smear. At the heart of this saga lies a timely conversation about power, consent, and workplace ethics. Kristin Cabot's allegation has reignited debates that have been simmering in the tech world. How should companies handle office romances, especially when there's a clear hierarchy involved? And when things go wrong, who is held accountable? Many are pointing out that this is not an isolated case. Over the past few years, several high-profile CEOs have lost their jobs over relationships with employees, even when termed consensual. Remember McDonald's CEO Steve Easterbrook being ousted for an employee relationship, or Intel's CEO Brian Krzanich resigning for a similar reason. Andy Byron's story seems to follow a familiar script, but with an even more explosive twist given the manipulation claims. Workplace advocates are seizing the moment to call for stronger policies. No CEO should be dating a direct report, period. This is why the power imbalance taints true consent, one employment lawyer commented on MSNBC. HR professionals are cringing that it was the HR chief herself in this case, a situation described by one blogger as a fox in the henhouse scenario where the very person meant to enforce conduct rules got ensnared by the rule breaker in chief. There's also considerable discussion about victim blaming. Initially, when the affair news hit, Kristin was harshly judged by the public. Some of that criticism has now pivoted toward Andy, with people acknowledging how easy it is to shame a woman in these situations without knowing the full story. The hashtag apologize to Kristin even started trending, as people argued she deserved an apology if indeed she was manipulated and not simply a consenting participant. However, there's a parallel trend of cynicism. Posts tagged #TeamNoOne suggest that both Andy and Kristin exercised poor judgment and that this new twist is just image rehab. It's possible to acknowledge power abuse and note that she didn't come out with this until after she got caught, one viral TikTok commentary said, highlighting the nuanced public sentiment. What's undeniable is that Astronomer's scandal has become a case study in how not to handle workplace relationships. The company's initial slow response allowed gossip and misinformation to thrive. Now, with Kristin's allegation, Astronomer is under the microscope for its corporate culture under Andy Byron's reign. Reports have already surfaced that Astronomer's board had quietly tolerated a boys' club atmosphere, and that some employees feared retaliation if they complained about executives' behavior. If Kristin's story holds true, it suggests even a C-suite executive like her felt she had no safe avenue to resist the CEO's advances, a damning indication of a broken culture. Kristin Cabot's bold claim appears strategic as much as it is personal. Sources close to Kristin say she has been preparing to file a major lawsuit against Astronomer for weeks, one that could include allegations of sexual harassment, wrongful termination, or constructive dismissal, and retaliation. In fact, Astronomer's own actions might bolster her case. The company put her on leave and effectively pushed her out in the wake of the concert scandal, while Andy initially was allowed to resign with dignity. Legal analysts note that if Kristin can demonstrate she was coerced into the relationship, it strengthens any claim that she was treated unfairly afterward or that she suffered harm due to Andy's misconduct. It flips the script, one lawyer not connected to the case explained on a podcast. Instead of two executives violating policy and facing equal consequences, you have a scenario where she was on the receiving end of the CEO's advances, then arguably punished for it when it became public. In court, that narrative could be powerful, eliciting juror sympathy and potentially costing Astronomer a hefty settlement or judgment. The Andy Byron, Kristin Cabot scandal has evolved from a simple gossip item into a complex saga of betrayal, power, and accountability. What started with a caught-on-camera cuddle at a concert has unraveled into a multi-thread narrative, a CEO's hubris and double life, an HR executive's fight for her dignity, a wife's revenge, and a company caught in the crossfire. Kristin Cabot's claim that Andy manipulated her into the affair is the latest explosive chapter, one that transforms the story from two executives behaving badly into something much more consequential. For now, all eyes are on Andy and Kristin as the saga heads toward a likely courtroom showdown. Will Kristin Cabot be vindicated as a survivor of CEO coercion? Will Andy Byron face further consequences for his alleged manipulation? The answers will determine not just the fate of two individuals, but could also influence how companies everywhere handle the next case of office romance that crosses the line. One thing is certain, this story is far from over, and the lessons it carries are only just beginning to sink in. Stay tuned. In the world of viral scandals and high-stakes gossip, there's always another twist around the corner.